your hard drive. Are they that stupid?
By
Seriously.
the way, I have a question, Hannity. When you're encouraging people to bleach bit their hard drives, not you, but if you were doing that, is it actual bleach? I mean, do you put actual bleach on it? Like, I don't know what you use. But
hey, I do have a question for you, a serious one. I do not like this headline in the New York Times that they took a year's worth of information from one of their reporters.
Yeah.
That's troubling. That bothers me because this is freedom of the press now, and I don't care that it's the New York Times that we both know is corrupt and they do a horrible job, but we've got to be very careful here. This is a very dangerous, slippery slope.
Yeah, I completely agree, Hannity. If they could shut down voices of independent thought and conservatism,
They'll
they
be
would
after
do it.
us first, trust me.
They would do it. All right, Sean, fantastic show, as always. Good evening from Washington. I'm Laura Ingraham, and this is the Ingraham Angle. We have an unbelievable show for you tonight. You do not want to miss a minute. I will go head-to-head with Reverend Jesse Jackson. We're going to debate the NFL protests now that Colin Kaepernick wants to force the president to testify in his lawsuit against the NFL. Oh, okay. Plus, we've learned that when the IG report will be out, the FBI and DOJ will be releasing it next week, and that it may cover much more than the Hillary email investigation. Oh, enticing. Meanwhile, Chuck Grassley wants to find out if the FBI broke its own informant rules by potentially infiltrating the Trump campaign. Also, the video you have to see to believe, a big city mayor unseemly celebrating over a policy that frankly brings death and destruction. But first, the Dems and the porn star. That's the focus of tonight's angle. The news just keeps getting better and better for the country and the guy leading it. Today, the government reported that jobless claims fell in June to their lowest level in 44 years. Layoffs are also way down, near a 50-year low. And 223,000 jobs were added to the economy in May. Voters are feeling the improvement in the economy, and they're rewarding President Trump with higher approval ratings. A new Wall Street Journal NBC poll has the president at 44%, the highest ever in that poll, which is also on par with where Reagan was in 1982 and where Obama was in 2010. Pretty good. At the same time, the president is trying to expand his base, which is really smart. While making gains with African Americans, trying to, has been a dream of traditional Republicans for a long time, this president actually might find some progress. Unemployment is at a record low for blacks and near record low for Hispanics. It's great news. And his administration is working really hard on prison reform, which, let's face it, would have an enormously positive effect on African American families. And after that nudge from the reality star Kim Kardashian, Donald Trump commuted the sentence of Alice Johnson. She's been a model prisoner for serving a life sentence for drug conspiracy and money laundering. And she offered these words to President Trump today.
Thank you so much that I am going to be that one that is going to make you so proud. And I hope that my life will encourage him to do this for others.
Now, putting the merits of this particular case aside for a moment, this is a really smart political move by the president. Sharp. Now, just maybe this will spark a conversation among black voters who are traditionally skeptical, let's face it, about the Republican Party. Maybe more will give a second look at Trump and his policies, despite what certain pro-athletes, certain civil rights activists, Jesse Jackson's going to be joining us shortly, are saying about him. So while Republicans make inroads with new voters, what does the other party do? Well, the party that once stood for the working man, the Democrats, has now taken a radical turn, as former Bill Clinton pollster Doug Schoen told me this week.
That's why I am so upset with the current direction of the Democratic Party, where the progressive left is pushing the party farther and farther, redistribute, resist, guaranteed jobs, guaranteed health care, but no individual initiative.
Now, having abandoned the middle of the country, basically, the Democrats reflexively protect and defend fringe causes and individuals with absolutely no constituency. Case in point, porn star Stormy Daniels. The other day in Israel, Rudy Giuliani, a member of the president's legal team, offered this personal appraisal of Stormy Daniels.
I respect all human beings. I even have to respect, criminals. But I'm sorry, I don't respect a porn star the way I respect a career woman or a woman of substance or a woman who has great respect for herself as a woman and as a person and isn't going to sell her body for sexual exploitation.
Now, one can quibble over whether Giuliani should have gone down this road at all, but the manufactured and selective moral indignation all over the media today, including from the ladies of The View, was totally over the top.
First of all, I just want to say that we interviewed Stormy Daniels on the show. There's no reason anyone should question this woman's credibility. Sex work is work, and like any other business, it's bad with laws criminalizing consensual transactional sex. It is legal, it's consensual. By the way, the only industry where women make more money than men, okay? Across the board. So can we stop with the judgment on her profession?
We've always had women who worked and worked on the streets. A lot of them have put their kids through college. They have had incredible lives, gone on to do all kinds of stuff. So the mere fact that you would make such a blanket statement about someone you don't know, who does something you seemingly know nothing about, seems kind of shocking.
I don't even know what to say about that, man. I'm not often speechless, but, well, I'm glad the left found a cause that they can rally to. Well, I don't remember their standing in support of another sister, well, Melania Trump, when she was being defamed, or Ivanka Trump when Samantha Bee went on the attack, or, frankly, Sarah Sanders, when that filthy comedian whose name eludes me, was it Maggie something, attacked her at the White House Correspondents' Dinner. And what about the women who claim they were sexually abused by Bill Clinton? Juanita Broderick, Paula Jones, and Kathleen Willey. Earlier this week, Jennifer Flowers joined me for an exclusive and made this charge.
He came on to me that night. I told him to knock it off. He proceeded to continue to come on to me for 3 months. In hindsight, it was definitely sexual harassment. I would like for the Me Too movement to be so kind as to recognize myself and Paula and Juanita and Kathleen and many, many other women starting many years ago that have come out with claims of sexual harassment from Bill Clinton.
Gals on The View had nothing to say about that, not one word. I guess some women are just beyond respectability, not worthy of it. When Chris Cuomo broached the topic with Chuck Schumer last night, this is the response that he got.
Bill Clinton said about Me Too, a lot of controversy. Your take?
Not getting into that.
Because?
I think it's irrelevant to what we need to talk about. It may make nice news, but it doesn't help the cause.
Oh, so Clinton's accusers are irrelevant. Imagine if a Republican said that about another woman, be run off television. The only woman worthy of the left's embrace right now, this last 24 hours, is a porn star who happens to be suing the president. Mika Brzezinski and Stephanie Ruhle were undone by Rudy's comments.
He says, look at her, and laughs derisively. What a pig. With my Know Your Value platform, feel really strongly about these comments, and they made my blood boil. This is a really bad day for women if this is exactly the person the president wants speaking for him. It's a bad day for humanity. It goes down to value.
A bad day for humanity. There's no overstatement there whatsoever. Oh, please, come on, guys. I mean, imagine, for instance, if after 4 years of college, you're slogged to put your kid through school, your daughter through school, and any one of our daughters announced that she wanted to be a porn star or maybe a stripper. Okay, what mother wouldn't be making a value judgment about that vocational choice? Oh, great, honey. That's fantastic. Hanging off a stripper pole is a much better choice than business school. Yay. The selective outrage and the twisted morality of the left never fails to amaze me. But through all this, the Democrats have revealed themselves. With nothing else to run on, they now have become essentially the party of MS-13, not animals, I guess transgender bathrooms, open borders, NFL protests, filthy comedians, partial birth abortion. Oh, and let's throw in pot. Oh, and now the porn industry. Can you put that on a bumper sticker? We'll see how that plays in November. And that's The Angle. Well, let's find out what our distinguished guests think. Juan Williams is the co-host of The Five right here on Fox News. Matt Schlapp is the chairman of the American Conservative Union. And in San Francisco, Harmeet Dillon, an attorney and an RNC committee woman from California. Great to see all of you. Harmeet, I got to start with you because it's a bad day for humanity. It's, you can't make a value judgment now about one profession over another. They're all the same, because we as mothers don't ever do that. Okay. We do that every day. Our kid walks out the door when we look at what she's wearing. Come on. But what do you make of the left getting totally unhinged about Rudy's comments in Israel?
Well, it's of a piece of them getting totally unhinged on every single issue, as you pointed out, Laura. They've become the party of MS-13. They've become the party of open borders. They've become the party of pot legalization, of abortion on demand under every circumstance. They've completely lost their moral compass, and they've forgotten about the men and women who the president has promised to help. And so, they've completely lost it. They have not been able in the midterms here so far to articulate a message that's positive. And they can only talk about these horrible extremes. I mean, it's a sad day in America when a porn star who has repeatedly lied and changed her story is the standard bearer of the left. I mean, come on. I think that all people are equal and should be treated with respect. But they can do better than to lionize this lady and feed and perpetuate this sideshow. It's not good for America. We should be focusing on what can be done to better the lives of all of our citizens here, not on this garbage sideshow.
All right, let's go to Juan. Juan, your reaction to this today?
I don't think anybody's lionizing Stormy Daniels. I think it was Rudy Giuliani who defamed her and said that, she lacks credibility given that she's a porn star and that at some point he said she was selling her body. That's that kind of thing. I think this is all part, again, of undermining anybody who's been critical of President Trump. But the fact is that what we know is that Michael Cohen said, that in fact there was $130,000 paid. If there's any issue of credibility here, the issue is the people who said, oh, no, we don't know anything about this payment. That's President Trump on Air Force One, as you'll recall, Laura, to reporters. So that's, to me, he's just going after her. And I think when women respond, they respond because they say, lots of people have posed for Playboy or GQ or whatever, and you don't immediately savage them and say, oh, you know what, you lack credibility, you lack intellect because you did that. That's not fair.
Right, but I see what your point. And I think Rudy just did say, we have to respect all people. He said he respects criminals. All he said basically was he doesn't have the same respect for someone who's a porn star or hangs off a stripper pole, and because she's now the woman of the moment, trolls the president wherever he goes around the country. Big deal. We're all such little babies that we can't, make a value judgment. The left makes value judgments if you don't recycle, for goodness sakes. Now they're upset. Now they're upset if someone says, well, being a molecular biologist is a probably better choice for a woman than objectifying herself.
I don't think that's the point. I think the point is she's going after Trump critic.
They don't defend conservative women. Mika does sometimes. I got to give her credit.
True.
But a lot of these women do not defend conservative women when they're attacked. They laugh and they ridicule them right along with them. Matt Schlapp.
Look, women should be respected. I got 5 daughters.
All women.
I got 5 daughters. Do I want them to grow up to be in the porn industry? I really don't.
Yeah.
And I'd
apparently you're a horrible person for saying that. That is a crazy town that we're living in.
The value judgment.
If you say that you don't want your daughter to be a porn star, I guess you're a bad person now. That's where we are. Okay.
I don't. And what I really want to focus on is the fact that there's all this Me Too movement. There's a lot of victims out there. And what I want to hear from the left is a conversation about all the victims, right? And what you hear is the ones that are politically convenient to talk about. And if we're going to do that, we're going to get to a place where the American people look at the Democratic Party and they see it for what it is. It's craven, it's not practical, it's radical, and it's all about destruction and taking over, whether it's the Boy Scouts, whether it's a church, any institution, they want to take them over. And I think that's what the American people realize. That's why they're connecting to Trump, not because he's any kind of perfect person, but because he fights and he's candid and he's honest. And by the way, he's making a big difference in the country.
Oh, well, I think the economic news speaks for itself. I want to play a soundbite for you guys from Nicole Wallace. She has a show on MSNBC. And this is the example of what I was talking about. You treat and regard women who support Trump one way, and then every other woman, especially if you're, anti-Trump, you are held up on a pedestal. Let's watch.
Let me ask you, I mean, you know more about the Trump women, the Trump family than anyone. What do they do on a day like today? Are they just the most stoic human beings? Are they numb? Are they dead inside? Are they paid off? I mean, what's their deal?
Are they paid off? Are they numb inside? Are they dead inside? Now, I find that if you're going to be a victim, if you're going to be worried about being offended, that's a lot more demeaning to a woman to say than to say, well, look at her. I don't agree with. Well, okay, like a porn. By the way, don't porn stars want to be looked at? Isn't that part of being a porn star? I'm sorry, I'm the porn star. I'm sorry, Matt. I don't mean to. This is like
Matt,
Juan. I'm going to look at you right now.
Matt's a married man. I love his wife, so give him a break.
Keep my wife out of this.
Check it out. This whole thing is crazy town. All right, Harmeet, I got to have you chime in on that one from Wallace, who, by the way, despises President Trump and everything he stands for. Go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, these people objectify our first lady every day. They mock her. They treat her like some kind of alien life form. They have no problem objectifying people on the right. And yet, they get on their moral high horse about some comments about a particular woman who's lied on television. That's true. And now she has a different story. She's seeking fame. The double standard is very clear. And as Matt said, American people are looking at this and they're like, huh? I mean, they can't really relate to this hatred and this negativity. And there's a lack of solutions. I guess all the Democrats have left here is to call names and ridicule. They're the ones. Samantha Bee is out there saying the most vile and vicious things about Ivanka Trump. Oh, yeah, she apologized, right. Yeah. I mean, it's one thing after another with these people. They have no shame. Yeah. And it's just sad. It's just sad.
All right, so now let's move on to what the voters are thinking here, because clearly Trump's numbers are up. Even though NBC Wall Street Journal, they had to admit, it's highest number he's had in their poll. He's now at 44%. Now, he's not over 50. I think if we had a media that were even slightly fair, he'd be at 57%, okay, or 55% with this economy. No doubt about it. But he's at 44%, and we have a chart that shows you what people are saying about who gets credit for the economy. Trump is getting 49% credit for the economy, but Barack Obama is getting 38%. Juan Williams.
Well, I think, that's about right. I mean, Donald Trump's been in office a year and a half, Laura. So eventually it's going to become his economy. But the one who pulled us out of the recession going back to 08-09 was Obama. And we're seeing the continuation of a lot of Obama policies. I think what you'd hear from...
He's undoing Obama's policies. What are you talking about?
No, with not...
What Obama policies is he continuing?
The Federal Reserve policies with regard to interest rates, the federal policies with regard to trying to get our economy going, I don't think they have radically changed. You could talk about regulation.
The tax cut, he's gotten rid of 6 regulations for every one added. That's a huge deal.
You have been going on tonight about, Democrats have no ideas. Let me tell you something. I think the tax cut was supposed to be what Republicans had to run on in the midterms. And as you can see, Laura, there's more talk now about immigration, more talk now about NFL players kneeling, more of these hot-button red meat issues because they don't have... Republicans are the ones
I disagree.
Who are
I disagree.
Lacking.
That's the conventional wisdom. I don't agree
it's not. With that. It's like saying, why are we talking about Donald Trump and Stormy Daniels without saying, who's the one who was involved with a porn star?
Juan, here's the thing.
We're not... you should get outside the Beltway.
He says he wasn't, but go ahead.
Let's focus on what the voters care about. They don't care about Stormy Daniels. They're not going to vote on Stormy Daniels.
Right.
Let me explain to you really quickly about these numbers, Laura. 2 years ago, the right track, wrong track under Obama was 25%. We're inching towards 40% right track for Donald Trump. If it gets to 40 plus, this is not going to be a big blue wave. This is going to be a very good night for Republicans. The fact is, American people are practical. They want jobs. They want economic prospects to improve. And they want to feel safe in their homes and in their families. And that's what's happening. And the Democrats have no alternative to it.
Again, pot, porn industry, abortion, open borders, and MS-13.
What about health care? What about health care?
What about health care?
What about Obamacare that was so terrible?
Exactly. How about they wrecked our health care and they promised we could keep our doctors and they all retired because they hated being in medicine
Check the same polls that Matt was just talking about, Laura, and you'll see the American people want something reasonable done with our health care issue.
Freebies.
But they're not going to
want something done with regard to education.
Vaughn, we voted on health care 4 elections in a row, and it was the American people overwhelmingly say Obamacare failed us.
Well,
oh, yeah, look at the polls now, Matt. It's going to be a hot issue going into the fall.
Okay, guys, we're out of time. Okay, I think, is Kathleen Sebelius running for anything? That's all I can
hope
say.
so.
I hope so. I think Kathleen should run. Is that website working
Doesn't she run a website company?
No, exactly.
Oh, no.
Well, guys, fantastic segment, as always. By the way, the Inspector General may have a bombshell surprise for us. We're going to tell you why coming up. This report could cover much more than the Hillary email investigation. Wow, stay there. Release his much anticipated report on the DOJ and FBI 1 week from today. Michael Horowitz revealed the news in a letter to Senate Judiciary Committee Chairman Chuck Grassley. The IG will also testify before the Senate on the 18th. Now, we had been told that the report would cover just the FBI's investigation of the Hillary Clinton email scandal, but the IG report could be much broader, as Grassley titled the IG hearing, examining the Inspector General's first report on Justice Department and FBI actions in advance of the 2016 presidential election. Well, lots of ground to cover here with California Congressman and former Oversight Chair Darrell Issa, former U.S. Attorney for the Southern District of New York, Daniel Goldman, and investigative reporter Lee Smith, whose work we've highlighted on The Angle. Okay, Congressman, let's start with you. You've been around the block on this stuff. What gives, you think? This is going to be a broader report. Why would Grassley title it the way he titled it?
Well, first of all, because Michael Horowitz has been around a long time. He's done a lot of investigations of the problems at the Department of Justice in a previous administration that wouldn't deal with those problems even when they were reported to Congress. So I think, first of all, that's going to be part of it, is he'll be asked questions that we know from the past he can speak on. And second of all, when you look at the endemic misconduct of Comey, including, for example, the Apple scandal, where he claimed you couldn't get information. It turned out not to be true. Or the various handlings of Hillary Clinton from the very time he came in. It gets broad pretty quick, and especially when you look at other decisions that may have happened, including, obviously, the FISA warrants.
Lee, lots of things are bubbling up to the surface. This leak that came out yesterday. Now, to say that Comey was insubordinate and defied authority, and that Loretta Lynch didn't handle the tarmac meeting well.
Right.
If that's the,
or even legally.
If that's all they have, is that a big bombshell, or if that's it, I don't think people are going to be disappointed by this report.
Yeah, there's a lot of anticipation, and maybe it has been built up too much. There is certainly an enormous amount to cover, though, and I think that may answer why Senator Grassley has titled this as well. We'll be looking at a number of things. And also, if you just look, the public is keen. The public keeps hearing things. The public keeps hearing leaks. We keep hearing that this is being pushed back. They're looking at this. This is being blocked. I think they're eager to get out a number of these different things before it interferes too much with the election cycle. I think I think that's one of the key issues.
Daniel, one of the issues that popped up today was with Papadopoulos. George Papadopoulos' wife is saying that she believes the approaches made to him could indicate that they were trying to entrap him, use him as this way to push this investigation forward. What is your reaction to that?
Well, legally, it's not entrapment if there's any indication from an individual that they're willing to do whatever the conduct is. So I think she's using perhaps a colloquial definition of what entrapment is. And what we do know is that George Papadopoulos made some drunken comment to the Australian ambassador to the UN, and that spurred further conversations.
Initially, it was reported, though, Dan, that he knew that there was lots of emails out there, Clinton emails, but then they backed off from that and said that they had dirt on Hillary, right? So that story had shifted. That's a big difference. Someone has dirt on Hillary, and someone knew that there were emails that were hacked and were going to be released.
The only thing I will say is, having spent 10 years in the Department of Justice and having had cases that were reported on by the news media, and no offense to you, Lee, but generally speaking, about 50% was right. And it's not necessarily the journalist's fault. Sometimes the sources are a little too far removed and they don't have as much of the information as you would like. So let's not jump to conclusions as to what actually was in that meeting. I think the broader point here is that there was some indication that Papadopoulos knew that Russia had information that he was trying to get access to. And at that point, it is absolutely incumbent upon the FBI to investigate that to see if there's a national security risk of any sort.
So again, maybe it's just all innocent and they were having lures all over the place. I mean, I'm sure they do, but something about this just sticks in my craw. I want to play something for you about the informants, because Kevin Brock, who actually supervised the rewriting of the rules on informants for the FBI, joined us last week, the week before, on The Angle. Let's watch what he said.
An FBI agent can't go out and just open up a source and gather information willy-nilly. They've got to abide by the guidelines, and the guidelines are very specific, particularly in counterintelligence investigations, and even more particularly when you are directing your source towards an American citizen.
The guy who rewrote the rules, Congressman.
Well, and that's why when he said, it's incumbent, that's hogwash. The fact is, every single political campaign, Senate, House, presidential, they're all looking for dirt. They want it wherever they'll get it. They pay for it. They hire attorneys.
Hillary paid for the dossier,
right.
for goodness sake.
They hire law firms to obfuscate
is she being investigated?
The whole thing. If the Department of Justice / the FBI investigated every time there was a credible attempt to get dirt, no matter where the source, you'd be investigating hundreds and hundreds of.
But come on, it obviously is different if it's the source of the information is a foreign country than if the source of the information is someone within the country.
A vague allegation that there may be something is very different than, well, we have Russian intelligence. And let's remember, in this case, at some point, the Department of Justice knew that, in fact, the DNC and Hillary Clinton were part of the source of that.
Long after this.
Utley.
No, I'm very
long before the election.
I'm very uncomfortable, actually, with the idea that the FBI is running agents and opening investigation based on what a campaign team member says and is overheard in a bar. I think that's peculiar. I think if we were to go out to a bar and have a conversation and the FBI, and I'm on a campaign or you're on a campaign, and the FBI says, let's run an investigation on that guy, I think that's not what we want to see the FBI doing.
That's a pretty low threshold for opening an investigation, don't you think? I mean, I see what Lee is saying there.
Well, look,
especially during a charged political season, with this guy's like a minor dude. Like, he's not any big
exactly,
fish.
but that's why I think you got to recognize the investigation did not start.
We don't know when it started. We don't really know when it started.
I'm not talking about the timing. Yeah. I'm saying I would bet a lot of money that when they started this investigation, they had no idea who was involved. They didn't think, I'm sure, at the beginning that it went to Donald Trump or went anywhere that high. They were following a lead of a very suspicious and specific statement, is my guess, that George Papadopoulos gave to somebody else. And they're going to chase that down, as you would want them to do, I think, to make sure that nothing nefarious is going on.
Did that Bill Priestap trip to London in May of 2016, does that seem?
I think it's unclear right now exactly where that is, but I will say that, like, we don't know whether or not what kind of mechanism that this was transmitted to the FBI. It suggests it was irregular, so the idea that it came through the State Department is an issue.
All right, fantastic conversation. It's very complicated stuff. We really distilled it well.
What's simple is
we're out of time.
They don't do this normally.
What's simple is we're going to black in just a minute. Jesse Jackson versus yours truly. You're not going to want to miss it. Really behind the big cultural stories of the day. On the day after the Philadelphia Eagles would have celebrated their Super Bowl win at the White House, the team coach held a press conference. But what he didn't address was as newsworthy as what he did. Fox News contributor, New York Times bestselling author Raymond Arroyo here to explain. Raymond, this has been wild.
Oh, boy. Well, the Eagles won the Super Bowl, obviously. The White House wanted to commend them, have an honor for them. But the White House felt the rug was pulled out from under them. 80 players said, we will attend. And at the last minute, they said 2 players will attend and a mascot.
And the coach.
And the coach. Well, the White House said, no, we're not doing this. Now, Coach Peterson is trying to explain of the Eagles. Watch this.
Our organization, and I was looking forward to going down and being recognized as world champions. And, it is what it is. I'm not discussing it. It's over.
Well, then Coach Peterson should ask his own.
Is it Pedersen?
Peterson. Jeffrey Lurie, who's the owner of the team. He was the guy who was recorded in that private NFL owners meeting, trashing Trump.
I think
obviously got a political
I think Peterson is I think he's a good guy.
Well, he wanted
I think
to be there.
He wanted to be there, and that was genuine. I watched that whole press conference, but he's sick of this. He just wants to play the
Laura,
game.
the organization has explaining to do. Why did they pull this fast one on the White House?
And by the way, the Secret Service has better things to do than do background checks on 80 people.
Who then disappear.
Who then, suddenly what they have to do their hair? I mean, what's the problem? They got
Stephen Kerr,
manicures, they couldn't make it?
Now Stephen Kerr, who's the Golden Warriors coach, he's weighing in.
I'm over him, too. Let's listen. Golden State.
I'm blown away by the irony of the Eagles being disinvited, and instead we just have these military sing-alongs at the White House to show how patriotic we are, even though we don't know the words. It's just incredible.
Who asked him to weigh in? I haven't heard that much doublespeak since Joy Reid tried to explain those blog entries. But here's the problem with this. It's personalizing your political appetites, projecting it onto the White House. If the White House wants to honor you, they're doing that on behalf of the American people. This isn't personal, and it's not even about Trump. Now, the president.
Well, what's wrong with the military? Let me just say, what is wrong with the military sing-along? Okay, sometimes we miss certain words to certain songs, myself included. And
I do that at church every week.
Sometimes the mass. I'm dropping words left and right. But I mean, this is all snarky stuff. We got to move on.
The president had this celebration, and two guys decided to kneel. They had video of two guys kneeling in protest.
Okay, can we see the video of the kneeler?
During the celebration at the White House.
Look at that one.
Now, you see, I don't think they're actually kneeling.
Oh, there he is, the white shirt.
I think his knee gave out from the tonnage it's holding. He's a big guy. Look at that.
Whoa.
Okay.
Yeah, he's blue as MCL there. That's what ACL. All right, now we got Melania.
Melania's
came back today.
Our national suspense has ended. She appeared at a FEMA event. This is after weeks of speculation, 26 days she was out of the public eye. But nasty people like David Frum and others were suggesting she was abused, she was knocked around.
He was making
and that's why she was out.
I think he was trying to say I don't know if he was he really?
He said, imagine if the president punched
He
her,
was saying it was a hypothetical, but I don't think you can say that.
It
You
was
don't
a
want to
nasty
say that.
hypothetical.
That was not.
The president saluted the First Lady at her first public event today.
She went through a little rough patch, but she's doing great, and we're very proud of her. She's done a fantastic job as First Lady. The people love you. People of our country love you. So thank you, honey.
Now we know where in the world Melania has been. She had a kidney operation. It takes time to recover. And, they can ask the questions, but you have to accept the answers, too.
Well, some of these people in the press, some of these people in the media take more time off when they, get Botox injections, for goodness sakes. I mean, not that there's anything wrong with that.
Well, I haven't had any, so I didn't take any time off. But,
I haven't had any in a while.
But to put missing person signs around town, I mean,
by the way,
ridiculous.
She looked fantastic. I love the out of Africa kind of thing she had on. I loved it. I think she looks great. I don't even want to appear next to her. She's so beautiful.
Oh, there's the missing person
missing.
all over the east side.
Well, she's not missing you. That's all I can say. All right.
And then there was an FBI. I got to show you this video. This is an FBI agent in Colorado. He's doing the backflip, and watch
party.
what happens.
He's at a party, having fun.
It's a distillery.
Tight khakis there.
Yeah, but it's a distillery. He's on AstroTurf. He flips. His gun falls out. Boom.
Whoopsie.
He shoots an onlooker and just puts the gun away and shrugs and kind of goes back to his beer. These are the same people. This is a cautionary tale. People are telling us,
don't carry a gun and do a backflip.
Well, they're saying
that's a cautionary tale.
People are saying only military and armed legal enforcers should have guns. Maybe not. Sometimes civilians do better with firearms.
That's a grown man doing a backflip, isn't that's a little
an FBI
stupid.
grown
man. Let me just say he's just stupid.
Okay, I have some sad report.
Okay, very sad.
Something sad to report.
Raymond has to be on a single camera shot.
98-year-old Jerry Marin is the last of the Munchkins from The Wizard of Oz. There he is. He was a member of the Lollipop Guild who presented Dorothy with the lollipop. I know you love this movie, and Laura, thank you for doing the medley for us.
We represent the Lollipop Guild, the Lollipop Guild, the Lollipop Guild, and in the name of the Lollipop Guild, we wish to welcome you to Munchkin Land.
We're out of time, but the Munchkins were paid less than Toto on a weekly basis. Toto made, I think, $100. The Munchkins made $35 a week.
Awful.
That was scale back then.
He is the last of the 124 Munchkins, and he's now left us.
One of the greatest movies of all time.
Iconic film.
Oh, that's
great. Now you have
I can't go to. How do I go to Mitch McConnell after this. I'm depressed. We got to go. Mitch McConnell up next, trying to get Congress to do its job, canceling the August recess. What will Congress do without its long vacation? Wouldn't you like to have 4 weeks off? Mitch McConnell next. Oh, this is such great news. Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell boldly canceled most of the August recess. He wants Congress to do something that's really amazing. It's called work. Pass the president's agenda, confirm long-stalled nominations. It's about time. I spoke with him about those issues and a lot more in this exclusive interview a short while ago. Senator, thanks so much for joining us.
Laura, good to see you.
So the big August recess, tell me about it. Chuck Schumer today said he's fine with it as long as you set aside a good amount of time for health care votes. What's going to happen?
Well, we're going to be here confirming the president's nominees. We've had to file cloture, that is to speed the process up, 101 times during President Trump's administration to try to speed up the confirmation of his appointments. That's happened only 24 times in the first 2 years over the last 6 presidents. So they've been slow walking his effort to not only staff up his administration, but they've made it more difficult to confirm judges as well. Even though we win them all in the end, they're taking a lot of time. So I'm going to give them plenty of time.
Chuck Schumer also said after the primary votes yesterday that Democrats have a good chance of taking the Senate. Your reaction to that?
Well, I think it's going to be very competitive. I mean, if you look at the history of off-year elections 2 years into any new president, Bill Clinton lost the House and Senate, Obama lost the House and almost lost the Senate. Yeah, I think it's going to be a knockdown, drag-out fight all the way to the finish, but we're optimistic we can hold the Senate, still have a majority, and still confirm the president's appointments. I mean, it's important to remember the Senate's in the personnel business. The House is not. If we lose the Senate, the president will be kneecapped for the last 2 years of his term on judicial appointments, on appointments to the cabinet, boards and commissions, and all of that. I think the American people need to understand the consequences for this administration if we were to lose the Senate.
Optimistic about the economy in the future?
Yeah, I mean, the economy is roaring. Lowest unemployment in decades. People are optimistic. Jobs are being created. Much of this attributable to the tax relief bill that we passed last December. So it's a pretty great time to be an American looking for work.
Why would people want to vote against their own pocketbooks then and vote for Democrats in November? I mean, you guys should be sitting pretty here.
That's certainly our argument, and I sure hope they share our view that this is not an environment that cries out for change.
Some big Republican donors have said that unless Congress passes a DACA amnesty, they're not going to give a penny. This guy, Mike Fernandez, big donor in Florida, big billionaire. Others have as well, WeatherTech CEO. Any possibility of an immigration reform initiative getting passed, House, then Senate?
Well, I don't know about in the House, but in the Senate, it's not on our agenda. I went to immigration early this year, wide open for amendments. The Senate did not want to pass any particular version of it. Honestly, Laura, I can't see us going back to immigration this year unless there was some proposal that the president actually was okay with and said he was willing to sign. And I don't think he's okay with anything that I've seen coming our way. So short answer, not on the agenda in the Senate.
Bob Corker and a few other senators have expressed their dismay over the president's tariffs and wanted to attach an amendment to the defense policy bill that's kind of a must-pass bill. President won on kind of this robust economic nationalist platform. Is it a good idea for the Senate to take on the president on the issue of tariffs?
I don't think so. Frankly, I'm not thrilled about the tariff path that we seem to be on, but we're not going to be in the Senate passing a bill preventing the president from what he can legally do under current law.
Well, Corker says for national security grounds, if he cites that, then the Senate should be able to say, have it say.
We're not going to be passing that in the Senate.
The IG report that has been delayed and is going to be coming out has now leaked parts of it, saying that Jim Comey, the former FBI director, was insubordinate and also words like defied authority in the way that he handled his job in the Hillary email investigation, specifically at the end when he notified Congress that they were reopening the investigation. Also cited Loretta Lynch in a reprimand. Not more details other than that. But any thoughts on that, given
Well, we're anxious to see what his recommendation is going to be. We've heard that he's a straight shooter. We know he's conducting this investigation. I've not heard about the particular leaks, but we'd like to see his report, and I assume it will come out sometime soon.
Meanwhile, the deputy director of the FBI, Andrew McCabe's lawyer, is asking for immunity before he's going to testify before the Senate committee headed by Chuck Grassley. Your thoughts on that?
Well, it's certainly interesting. I mean, you can imply what you choose to imply from that sort of thing. You're a lawyer. I think it's a pretty interesting request on their part.
Well, a lot of people have been saying that Donald Trump's besmirching the FBI and calling the FBI into question, and how dare he question the FBI. And look, we all love the FBI, but this is now the director of the FBI and the deputy director. These two developments.
Well, I think all of these things will come out sooner or later. The IG report is something we think is going to be quite interesting, and we're anxious to receive it.
The big question for all of us court watchers is, of course, the Supreme Court. A big 5-4 decision came out regarding religious liberty, Anthony Kennedy in the majority, the bakery case this week. If Anthony Kennedy does step down and retire at the end of this term, when will the Supreme Court hearings, in your estimation, be held, given the tight schedule that we already have?
Well, the Congress meets until December 31st this year. If we get a vacancy sometime in the next month or two, we'll certainly deal with it this year.
Well, could it be held before the new court term begins?
It'll certainly be held this year. If there's a vacancy, in the next month or two, we have plenty of time to do the confirmation.
Any sense that the court, the president has narrowed down the candidates to 1 or 2 people and that they're ready to go here?
I can't imagine they're not thinking about this. I believe they are. And if a vacancy would occur, my assumption is we get a nomination rather quickly, and I guarantee you we deal with it. It's not just the Supreme Court, however. You've been following. We now have confirmed 21 circuit court judges in the first year and a half of the Trump administration, breaking all modern records. One-eighth of the circuit judges in America have been appointed by Donald Trump and confirmed by this Republican Senate in a year and a half.
You have 8 that are still waiting to get out of committee, 2 on the floor of the Senate.
They'll all be done this year.
And will you hope to get them done during the August recess or through the August recess?
They'll all be done this year.
Finally, Senator, this is the anniversary of D-Day. I know you've had a chance to spend some time with our veterans over the last few days visiting Washington. Thoughts on where we are 74 years after the D-Day invasion?
Yeah, my dad was in World War II in Germany. He got there after D-Day, but it was the greatest generation, no question about it. One fellow I met today is 100 years old. He was in the original North African invasion, the first time we went on offense in World War II in Europe, and was there at the end when the Germans surrendered, survived it all, and he's 100 years old. These were the greatest generation, no question about it.
Senator McConnell, it's always great to see you. Thanks so much for giving us some time today.
Thank you, Laura.
And in just a minute, how Obama officials looked lawmakers in the eyes and lied about the Iran deal. The one and only Victor Davis Hanson next.